Okay, just basically to reply, I'd say that biodiesel gas could be used to stop or, well, to reduce our dependency on fossil fuels, and could be used in transition for that situation, as well as when electric cars are plugged in. Also, let me tell you that electric cars are not as green as you think. Although electricity can be made from renewable sources, some generators in the United States especially, they use coal. Well, they're powered by burning high percentage of coal, which is a fossil fuel itself, and it releases a lot of toxic mercury and carbonic gas, which is pretty bad. So that, I'm trying to bring something interesting here about as you may know, we all read the article that has the German principle into it, and basically I can apply that principle by attacking the electric cars. So if you increase, well, the German principle mainly states, says that if you increase the productivity of anything, you have the effect of reducing its implicit price, because you get more return for the same amount of money, which means the demand goes up. So you think that you'll save a lot of money by buying electric cars, but in the end the money will be all spent on goods or activities that involve fuel consumption. So you can also view this as, right now electric cars are really expensive, like Tesla motors are about $100,000, and I don't think that a lot of people can afford this right now, but in a couple of years the demand will go up. Of course the prices will be reduced for sure, but a lot of express stock will have their prices, and for example that means eventually we have more batteries, more car, more stations, more power plants, more energy, in fact more electricity and more money, and all that will increase the imports of other countries. In fact, more money and more energy.
Alright, also just to repeat the other arguments, just to put more emphasis on it, right now there's no charging stations for electric cars. So, but believe it or not, it's going to be really, really expensive to modify all the houses, every single place you go to charge your electric cars. Also, they take a really, really long time to charge. When you're late in the morning or if you're late for a meeting, you can't afford to charge your car. Like it's really not like a proper alternative. And because of this, it's not a proper option.
And finally, they said that the maintenance cost is lower, but the battery is very expensive and you have to change it. A battery can cost $5,000, $10,000 to change in about 5 years. So, when your car is 5 years old, you better off just throw it away and buy a new one because it's better. Also, many countries are barely able to produce enough electricity for their current demands. So imagine that on top of this, every car runs on electricity. They now have to come up with a new way to make electricity, which will be often burning coal. And for being more ecologic, burning coal, well, that tends to defeat the purpose. And also, yeah, in the morning, like right here it's the coal, batteries cannot hold charge. So you're in winter, you're on the highway, you use accessories, your battery is getting used and it can hold up less energy. So at the end, the 200 kilometers like that the designer says that you can do on it, maybe it will only be 75 in winter. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, I have 3 little things I have to say about what he said. First of all, louder? Okay, so basically, they said that there are no charging stations. She mentioned that there are charging stations on the East Coast in California. Also, it's a question of infrastructure. If you want there to be charging stations in places, there will be eventually. Kind of like when they made the first cars, there were no gas stations everywhere. Also, they said the batteries don't last that long and you have to change them and it's expensive. It is expensive, but the batteries are designed to last as long as the life of the car itself. So there's that. And yeah, we're pretty much done.
Okay, about the algae, there's a study done that, if you use the best places to grow algae, for example, the Gulf Coast of the Eastern Seaboard and Great Lakes in the States, you will actually only replace 17% of the petroleum used, and this will require 1/4 of the water used for agriculture. And if you wanted to replace all of petroleum by that, you would need more water than they used for agriculture in the States. So it would require way too much water. And
Alright, we mentioned that batteries were bad for the environment. Actually, for the past decade, lead acid batteries, which were used in the old electric cars, now it's lithium, are being recycled to 96%. In fact, they're the most recycled post-consumer product for the past 10 years. Also, Toxico is a company that opened about 2 decades ago. They've been recycling all sizes and types of lithium batteries and with no toxic waste. Alright, the grid. Alright, those batteries, once they're deemed to be able to, that they're not able to retain enough charge to be used in cars, they're still able to retain a lot of charge. And they could be used to prop up the grid and support unsustainable, not unsustainable, but renewable energies such as solar and air-produced energies by storing that energy in the batteries. Also, the more you have batteries from the cars of the people, the more that you can tap into the energy from all across Canada, for example, and you'll be able to compensate for the fact that there's fluctuations in the demand of electricity. Also, you could put a smart grid that gives a certain amount of energy to certain households throughout the night. So you don't need to it doesn't need to be that everybody just taps in whenever they want. Also, who said we needed to use lithium batteries? There's supercapacitors. In fact, a research report that came out last year proved that we're able to build carbon-based capacitors with over 600 farads per gram of 600 capacity, farads per gram. That's an energy density equal to that of lithium batteries, and they charge in no time, hundreds of times more quickly. You mentioned that people would be waiting in line to get to plug their cars and all that. You could charge a car by inductance. There's other solutions. Okay. Yeah, sure, go ahead. Okay. Also, biofuels used by if you use algae to generate biofuels, a company that is going to open very soon is going to be able to produce 140,000 liters of biofuel per hectare per year. That's effectively 150 kilowatt per hectare. If you replace that with solar panels, you'd have 1,000 kilowatt per hectare. So it's not a viable source of energy.
Okay, and we could gasify biomass that would produce electricity to flow directly into the grid and power our electric cars. So you can use that to actually power electric cars. So basically, I think we should use electric cars because it makes the problem on a really smaller scale, and it's easy to, well, not easy, but you can develop renewable resources to power the power plants and not worry about the 300 million cars that we do.